20 on me, case emergency. Ain't no cap in my rap. Real I know it's the truck. More profit mean extra. Emerald white out full of pressure. That cereal milk smoking right. But that Obama rent some special. Kansas City, I'm a chief. Shout out to K5 on new one. Country thuggin', I was hustling. I always had it on me. Booming like OJ the Juice. Till a nigga told on me. From now on, it's relentless. Ain't no love, we ain't friendly. If she want me on him. No the law, she get the business. No the law, still the motto. Empire.
Hello. How y'all doing? This is the Birds of a Feather podcast with your boy Q City. Welcome back in. We're going to look at yesterday's draft, round 1. We're going to check out how our division rivals are doing. We're going to look ahead to rounds 2 and 3 tonight, and then do a little city talk at the end. So come on in, sit down, enjoy yourself. Let's enjoy this ride. All right, man. So round 1. Check this out. So I came to Kansas City for the draft, right? Really excited to be here. It was great seeing all the Falcons fans. They actually showed up out here, right? So one thing that I absolutely noticed is that even there, fans weren't a fan of the pick. And, you know, I posted it on my socials, man, like, no disrespect to Bijan. And I think that's what get lost in it, you know what I'm saying? Because people feel like you're saying something bad about Bijan, the player. Not at all. He's an amazing running back, right? I understand why Terry chose him. He's definitely an Alvin Kamara type, Reggie Bush type. People forget that Terry started over there as a low-level scout, right? Which means he sat through the Reggie Bush years. Sean Payton has been there for a long time. Saw the scab back, saw the dynamic out of the backfield backs, and then Alvin went through Mark Ingram, right? Mark Ingram had pass-catching capabilities, and then also went to Alvin Kamara. People were like, oh, don't forget Arthur Smith had Derrick Henry. But Bijan Robinson is not Derrick Henry. And I don't feel like there's a slight saying that, right? Like it's nothing wrong in saying that. He's just not him. I think that he much more fits the Alvin Kamara type, which then means, why did you draft him at 8? Right? So if you look at Alvin Kamara, three or four time Pro Bowler, he's been there for a while now. Really dynamic back in his heyday, and he's gotten paid. He's got a second contract, right? When was Alvin Kamara drafted? I want to say 3rd round, 86 overall or something, 3rd or 4th round out of Tennessee. He wasn't drafted 8th overall. And I think that's what we're missing. The draft is an economic exercise, right? The draft is not about, and this sounds weird, but hear it all the way through. The draft is not about getting a good player, right? Getting a good player is secondary, okay? The draft is about getting the right person at the right price. Kyle Pitts, an amazing asset, right? An amazing tight end. But 4 was too high. And that's not to say Kyle Pitts isn't an amazing player. But, like, take active players in the league, right? Take active players in the league and draft them 1 through, 1586 or whatever, you know, every player in the league. Patrick Mahomes is probably going 1, right? And then a mix of Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. You know what I'm saying? All that's going like 2 through 5. Who's the best running back in the league? Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, right? Somewhere in there. You can already go back and forth. Jonathan Taylor, you know what I'm saying, had a down year. How long do you think it is before a running back is drafted? After the quarterbacks, where you would go? Tackle, right? After tackle, you'll probably go sweet pass rushers. You know what I'm saying? Bosa brothers. Hell, Brian Burns might go pretty high. How long? How many rounds do you think goes before a running back gets drafted? Even if he's the best running back in this draft, which, I mean, might be debatable. You know what I'm saying? 8's just way too high. Way too high for him. And I'm willing to keep an open mind, right? We're going back today. Draft starts at 6 p.m. I'll be going live, put that up for everybody. But I really got to see what else we're going to do with the rest of the draft, because I really didn't think that this was the pick to make in this situation. my main thing is how does he fit within the concept of the team, right? So we had a staple of running backs last year, and the most promising one was Algier. Algier is cheap. He's damn near free. You know what I'm saying? You got him in the 7th round last year, or 5th round last year. My fault. But you got him super late in the draft, and he's damn near free. You look at Cordell Patterson. He's got a 2-year contract, which is basically like a 1-year contract. If you look at it, it's real funny money. He got $5 million guaranteed. He basically got a kicker and a bump to come back for the next year because the painting was on the wall that they were going to move ahead in running back, right? And Cordell was a 1st-round pick, but like he's been in the league for a while. I think he's almost 32 now, which puts us in a position that we're looking like we're investing way too much into the running back position because just in this year, the 8th overall pick is going to be about 7 or 8 million in the running back for a running back in that category. So you're looking at 12 mil just between him and Cordell Patterson, and then 2 basically free backs. So we're spending about 13 mil in the running back room, right? Then that number doesn't go down, right? Because next year no. The 8th pick will probably be like a really big cap hit this year. You're looking at probably like 12, you know what I'm saying, plus the 5. So we're spending 17. Then it'll go down next year to about 13ish. Cordell will be gone. So basically you're saying you're moving on from Cordell after next year, which, he seems to be pretty okay with it. He was, one of the forefronts for recruiting. So, he knows what's up. He's been in the league for a while. But just overall, I don't view Bijan as he may be an every down back, but I don't view him as a bruiser. You know what I'm saying? And then are you going to two-hand Tatum it with Algier? If that's the case, why'd you take him at 8? 8 is like extremely high, and I don't think people understand the value of how high of a pick that is, and I think it's because people routinely make wrong picks high. But like, once again, take that exercise all the way out. If you picked everybody in the NFL right now, who would go 8? Maybe Justin Herbert, maybe Trevor Lawrence. And then, people try to be smart. Oh, well, we're not picking all the NFL players. We're picking from this draft. I happen to think there were better players in the draft at 8, right? I'm not actually a Georgia fan. I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan. So please don't think it's a homer thing when I say this. Jalen Carter was the best player available at that spot, right? And then that pushes forward the mindset of the draft being an economic exercise. If you truly had Jalen Carter off the board, right, and a bunch of stuff is coming out now that he's drafted, and I respect a lot of the reporters who did that because, hey, we're not going to mess with this kid's future. You know what I'm saying? The teams have all the information. We're not going to drag him in the media and anything like that. Just do your thing. We'll do ours. So I appreciate them not putting that out. But if he was truly off your board and Bijan was your guy, trade down. Trade down. Look at the Lions, right? The Lions had 2 first-round picks, so spending one on a running back, while it may seem like, they took Gibbs super high. And if Bijan was there, they might have took Bijan. One, I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think they had a hone in on Gibbs because of his skill set catching the ball. And so I don't necessarily feel like they would have initially gone to Bijan. That's not to say he's a bad receiver. It's just I think they had a fixation on Gibbs. So let's just say, even if they took Bijan right there, Gibbs is an option, right? Skoransky could have been an option had you traded down. I would have been much more comfortable with Bijan as a pick at 17, 18, 19, and you picking up a 3 or a 4. Even if you want to push it to next year. So next year's picks are devalued because you're getting an immediate asset, and that's going to help your team, right? If you ever get a chance, look at Jimmy Johnson's draft board. It's like it assigns a number to each pick, right? So like, say the first pick is worth like 1,000 points, right? And then the numbers just go down. Well, top 10 pick is still within like the 800 range, right? Moving down, you move to like pick 12, 10, 11 through 20, you're looking at kind of like 500, right? So they have to compensate for that value. Next year's picks are automatically devalued because you don't know how this draft is going. You don't know how the college year is going to go. There's a lot of uncertainty there. So picking up a 3 or a 4 this year or moving down and getting a next year pick because someone's moving into the top 10 would have been absolutely necessary. And just I can't believe that just the idea of fielding calls wasn't in the plans there. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't believe Ritter has an extremely high ceiling, but I'm okay with them rolling it back this year with him, right? Giving him the full carte blanche to have the year prove itself. You spend a third round pick on him, you might as well put in the time and effort to have him there, right? He's really good at the play action throws with the deep piercing down the middle throws. London fits that perfectly, as well as Kyle Pitts when he comes back healthy. I thought having Algier as the bruising back for that offense would be all that's needed. Now, I understand. You can't keep rolling out Mike Davis and that other bullshit that we had going on in the backfield last year. That's fine. That's fine. But that's when you draft a third or fourth round running back. You know what I'm saying? Someone to complement. Not the 8th pick overall, because 8th pick overall, you're looking like you're going to be a focal point of offense. Look who we drafted last year at that spot. He's a focal point of the offense. Drake London is a focal point of the offense. He's WR1. You know what I'm saying? That's not changing this year. And I'm actually really looking forward to that. I think he's a great player. Kyle Pitts at 4. Focal point of the offense. You're making Bijan the focal point of the offense when you had a focal point that was free. It's free. So, you know, I'm kind of at a loss there. I really wanted Christian Gonzalez. I felt like, especially letting go of Casey Hayward, Jeff Okudah, I love him. I love him as a free agent signing. He can't stay healthy. And so I really wanted some insurance there. And I really like Christian Gonzalez. I like his size. I was very surprised that Illinois, the guy from Illinois went up so high. That was Witherspoon. That was pretty shocking for Seattle at 5, especially with Tariq Woolen last year. But hey, I actually thought he would be available at 8, Witherspoon, but it wasn't. And when he wasn't, I thought Gonzalez would be a shoo-in. I really wanted the DN from Texas Tech. The wingspan, the pass rush abilities were there. Las Vegas got him the step before, and they're going to bookend him. They're going to bookend him on the other side. And that's going to be a fierce pass rush. They're really building their team from inside out. And so, like, I understand that the options were limited as we continue to move down the draft. But with that being the case, if you really felt pigeonholed in that sense, move down. Move down. You don't think somebody would have moved up to 8 to draft Jalen Carter? Hell, you could have leveraged that pick against the Eagles to move up to 8. Because they moved up from 10 to 9. And Chicago was more than happy to get picks. So I was very disappointed with the pick in itself. And not to say he's a bad player. Like, right? You can clip this and use it in 5 years. Oh, this is Q City saying that he's going to be a bad player. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. I just think where he was drafted wasn't necessarily requisite of the pick that we had. And I felt the same way about Pitts. I love Pitts as a player, right? I didn't feel that way about London because wide receivers going to top 10. If you look at the draft last year, there was a run on wide receivers right after. If you want to get your playmaker, you got to get your playmaker. Pitts at 4 was wild. I mean, Bijan at 8 is a little crazy. You know what I'm saying? Who's the best tight end in the league? George Kittle? How long until he would have got drafted? All right. So I'm a little perturbed by it, but you look at the overall philosophy that we've had on offense. We're looking to be a power run team, build heavily off play action. He's recreating the Tennessee offense here. He did a great job with it last year, right? The results weren't necessarily there. I definitely felt like we should have put in Ritter way earlier. I don't think Mariota should have got back on the bus after Carolina, to be honest with you. Mariota should have been in. But I understand it. I just think that re-signing Caleb McGarry, you get Mack from the Raiders, and Heineke's gonna be a backup, you know what I'm saying? But basically just like an insurance policy. You're really looking for bigger body receivers to work that middle of the field, short and intermediate throws. We still got Zacchaeus for shock plays. I think I would really, really love to target into the second round this year a big speed guy, right? A bigger guy with speed. I wanted Jordan Addison And when I saw him sliding, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be it. Minnesota was like, you're really gonna let us pair him with Justin Jefferson? We're absolutely gonna take him, right? So we got to see what the wide receiver market holds, but I wouldn't be opposed to going full defense this year, right? Like Nakobe Dean, he didn't fall either. We got to work on our linebacker core. So I'm really checking it out. You look at the defensive signings that we had with like Jesse Bates, with Omakadu, whatever from the Saints. That dude, they got him at a pretty good rate, 3 years, 35, right? Grady still signed pretty big, but you can get out of his contract next year. I think this is another way to clean up the books, or at least have an insurance policy. But we gotta get some help on the line. And we're coming with a new defensive coordinator this year, right? We're in 4-3-3-4. What are we running? I think we got to get some help on the line. It looks like they're beefing up for the run defense, and if that's the case, and we're running 3-4, then we gotta have we gotta have fast linebackers, right? Put some more beef on the line. Fast linebackers. So I'm really looking for the linebacker depth as we continue to go into the draft.
Hey you guys, it's your boy Q City. As you know, I love Atlanta. Its teams, its venues, but more importantly, its culture creators. 15, XV like the Roman numeral, is a brand line dedicated to capturing the essence of the city. Their gifted artists have clothing that not only show their support for the thriving Atlanta teams, but also show their true talent. Black created, owned, and operated, 15 has a special offer for Birds of a Feather listeners. Go to 15.weebly.com and type in promo code QCity15 to get 15% off on your first order. That's QCITY15 for 15% off on your first order. 15 FIFTXVN.weebly.com. Excellence is waiting for you.
So, the Ultimate Goals Championship, right? You play to win the game. All that good jazz. Since they started with like the wild card thing, only 6 teams have ever won the Super Bowl without winning their division, right? And I happen to think that the Falcons don't seem to be among that lucky bunch. Both years that they went to the Super Bowl, they weren't. They won their division, right? So the first step is winning the division. Well, to win your division, you got to build to win your division, and you got to know what's going on in your division, right? So let's look at the other teams in our division. First, Carolina. They super aggressive in the draft. Tepper's the new owner. He's made it his mission and his point. They went after Deshaun Watson. They've gone after any QB that's available. He wanted to get his quarterback, right? Now, am I happy to get DJ Moore out of the division? Absolutely. Am I happy to get Bryce Young into the division? Absolutely not. Bryce Young is extremely talented, right? Extremely talented. You look at him play. He's got all the tools together. He looks amazingly put together, even for a short guy, right? He seems slight of build, but it's a very deceptive slight, right? Reminds you a lot of Smith in Alabama. He's got like strength on him. Look how he filled out the suit, right? Look how he played the game. When he plays game no sleeve, like dude's pretty well put together, and he's short. So I think he's short and he's not necessarily fast. So I think a lot of his scrambling ability that was available in college is absolutely not available anymore. But he's not a scrambler. He doesn't move to run, right? He moves to throw, and he's had a decent time evading pass rushers in the SEC, which is the closest thing that you're going to get to NFL football. And boy, he carved up those defenses. Obviously, he started day one in Carolina, right? How, and we'll learn more when the schedule comes out. How does him being in Carolina affect us? One, I think it puts us back on notice, right? So there's going to be a requisite arms race in the NFC over the next 2 seasons. There is really no comparison to Jalen Hurts. He's the paid one. He pretty much, him and Dak Prescott are the best quarterbacks in the NFC for right now. So the NFC is wide open in the sense of like having the best quarterback does give you the easiest path to the Super Bowl. Well, as of now, Philly's got the best quarterback and they got a hellacious defense, right? But also having the best quarterback gives you the easiest path through the playoffs because it's the easiest way to win your division. As of right now, strictly based on just potential and progression, Carolina might have the best quarterback in the division right now, right? I never have believed in Derek Carr. I think he'll do super well in a dome, but depending on when the Saints and Carolina match up this year, Derek Carr might be second best on the field. Bryce has the ability to like process things like super quickly, and you see it as he goes through his progressions. One of the awesome plays, like it's a highlight play, but it doesn't actually prove that I watched it. But like just like in the span of the game, right? The Texas game, bro. Like they were bringing that blitz all day, and he was calling it. He was sliding protection. Texas bluffed it. Texas bluffed bringing it, right? And he slid his protection, and he got killed. He got straight crushed, right? So, like, Texas called the blitz again, and keep in mind, he just got a bluff on it. So he didn't slide protection. Dude came, got a free shot on him. He turned, he ducked through, right? And was able to escape out the backside, and he had a scramble touchdown. It was just like, it was... It's one of those things where you see it and it's like he's calling a bluff and he's making adjustments to an adjustment, and it's like, yo, that is going to be a problem, especially for a new defensive coordinator, right? Nielsen's going to want that 4-3 with some 3-4 elements to it. You know what I'm saying? That's why I really want to get our linebacker play up. But he's going to have to get creative in how he brings pressure against this guy. Because if you sit back, think you're going to rush forward, drop your linebackers in zone, and play your corner straight up like he did a lot in like they did a lot with the Saints, you've got another thing coming. You've got another thing coming. And Carolina doesn't necessarily have the weapons right now. So I will be very interested. Like you said, like you've got to watch all the teams, what they're doing in your division to see how exactly you're going to compete. So I want to see exactly what they do for the rest of the draft. But that was a slam dunk pick. Got my little get right juice right here. Anyway, now let's look at the Bucks, right? They go interior. The Bucks are going through it, right? Soul to soul with Brady, went all in, won a Super Bowl, so it worked, right? They're starting a rebuild process. They got Baker. That's going to be. Baker has shown that he's had moments, but him as your starting top pick quarterback, top flight quarterback, it's proven to you. You know what you're going to get out of him, and it's going to be mediocre quarterback play. But if everybody else in your division is bad, mediocre is going to win, right? I mean, hell, look at Tom Brady last year. He had a terrible year, right? Bucks still pretty much won the division going away. It wasn't all that close. And looking back, I feel like that's one of the reasons that they didn't want to start Ritter. We'll get into that a little later. But I definitely feel as though mediocrity doesn't necessarily create clarity as much as greatness does. When something's great, you understand, I got to get better to compete. When there's mediocrity there, it's very easy to just be like, oh, we got a chance, and you play perfect and all this and that. Regardless, they went interior. Cajun Young got a pit. Kid's big. He's big, pass rusher, fast. I'm not going to lie to you, I was a little surprised he went that high. 19. I definitely had him late in the first, closer to the second. But I feel like they really got a good player there. They're looking to rebuild, get from the inside, right? And they're in a little bit of a snafu with their linebacking core right now. They're gonna budge on the contract. You can't lose your offensive leaders and your defensive leaders, right? But they're gonna be in cap hell in a bit, right? Because they also got to pay their safety. Antoine Winfield, he's second round pick, so he should be coming up next year or before training camp, right? I get Devin White signed, so I'm really interested to see how exactly Tampa is looking to rebuild. I actually expect them to fall off a cliff this year and be closer to 4 or 5 wins than they are 8 or 9 like they were last year. And then last, let's look at the Aints, right? They took the D tackle out of Clemson with the 29th pick. In case you don't remember, a little history lesson. They traded their first round pick last year to get Penning. That's how the Eagles ended up with 10. And we'll get to that. Eagles ended up with 10. And then they traded Sean Payton to Denver because Denver ended up having the Eagles pick because of a trade. They traded that part of the Sean Payton deal. Bam. That's how the Saints even had a first round pick this year. They went D tackle out of Clemson, big body, 5-star program. It's about round where he goes, and the Saints have a great history of building their interior offensive and defensive lines. Pick doesn't surprise me. You've added another pass rusher, another big body, stopping the run. The one thing I will say that the Saints do extremely well, and this is what I want more Falcons fans to realize, bro. The Saints build their team to win their division, right? So you get Derek Carr as a quarterback, right? You play in a dome. You got 8 games in a dome, right? So say minimum you expect to go 6-2 in a dome, right? So you get a dome quarterback, but you also got Atlanta that plays in a dome, Carolina that plays in warm weather, and then Tampa that plays in warm weather. So getting a weaker armed quarterback isn't the worst thing in the world, right? Carolina has always ran the ball. Always ran the ball. They're not a high-flying, throw the ball offense around, right? So you get a bigger D tackle and run stuff in D ends. Atlanta, purely run-based offense. Bigger D tackle, run stuff D ends. And that's why the Bucks just literally could not move around them, because what does Tom Brady not like? Pressure up the middle. It's just like the Saints do a great job of analyzing the other teams in their division and drafting based upon how to beat those teams specifically. They've had a great division record over the past couple of years, only strictly because of that method, right? And so we have to get better at that, right? I take it back, and not to pile on to him, I take that back to Bijan, right? Playing right into the Saints' hand, right? The Bucks playing right into their hand. Carolina, maybe you could be like, okay, we're using ball control. Brian Burns doesn't necessarily play the run. He plays the pass, which is why they were really able to neutralize him both games that they played last year. So against Carolina, that's kind of like a 3D type thinking. But you have to understand what the other teams in your division are doing, because the easiest path to the Super Bowl is winning your division. It's the easiest one. So all right, last thing before I get out of here, do some city talk, right? So, schedule of where I've been. You probably see, if you know me for a while, I had the little mini fro. I done grew my dreads out, got them braided down. Shouts out to my wife, my lovely wife Courtney. Yeah. So I got a DM, kind of hurt my feelings. Dude was like, where you been? Ain't heard from you all season. You a fair weather Falcons fan, and you just like them. You talk like you know stuff, this and that, right? And I was like, all right, touche. So let me tell you what really happened. Like I said in my first episode, I dedicated doing this podcast to a dear friend of mine that passed away, right? And I was really big on posting and doing everything that I need to do there. I got a promotion, right? Got a promotion to a new job. Moved states, and one of the things that really stuck out was how challenging my job was. I just act like I'm smart a lot of the time, but the job was taking a lot out of me, and so I couldn't give the podcast the attention that it deserved, and I'm not okay with putting out a bad product, right? Like, I have a passion for sports, and anything that I say, I want to be able to stick to, and I wasn't doing my research properly, right? And so I can't say that I was comfortable putting out just a product for the sake of putting out a product. So took some time off, and then that time turned out to be the whole season. So I'm relaunching the pod, right? Name's still gonna be Birds of a Feather. You can find that on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and then on YouTube you can type in Birds of a Feather, but the overall media company is Known Production. Good Noise on My Ears. I want you to like, subscribe to that. It'll come out anytime. You follow me on Twitter at QCity11, and hopefully I gain the followership and listeners back from the few stuff that I got. It seems as though y'all missed the pod, and I'm really glad to be back. The schedule going forward, like I said, I'm going to be dropping a pod each day after the draft. The Hawks were just eliminated, and I wasn't going to restart the Hawks pod up until the NBA draft, right? So we'll do a draft kickoff for the Hawks and re go over them each season. So we're just going to be dropping one pod on Tuesdays up until the Hawks pod starts dropping again on Fridays, and then we'll keep the Tuesday and Friday schedule through the season. So I appreciate y'all. Once again, I'm on Twitter and Instagram. It's QCity11. Keep it open for me. I want to hear from y'all so we can get back to the city talk. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you for listening. I appreciate you for being here. So catch y'all. See you again tonight. Looking forward to tonight, right? So headed back tonight. Like I said, gonna go live, take some pictures, check it out. Rounds 2 and 3. Really, definitely looking for pass rushers, right? That can come from the DN spot. That can come from a smaller D tackle that is a pass rush extraordinaire, or that can come from the linebacker position. Either way, we've got to get a way to get the quarterback on the ground. Atlanta has been last in sacks over the past 5 years, and last in sacks 3 out of the 5 years. 3 out of those last 5 years. It's embarrassing, right? And we constantly talk about how we need pass rushers. But one of the things that help pass rush, you can have coverage sacks, right? So faster linebackers who are able to spy and then rotate toward the ball if the quarterback breaks contain. And we have one in the division now who can break contain. I'm not worried about Baker Mayfield getting away from any DNs or linebackers. He's not like super fast. Bryce Young, like I said, scrambles to throw. And Derek Carr is kind of a statue back there. So, just in your division, getting pressure up the middle might be the main focus. But to play the rest of the league, you need pressure from your outside ends. We don't have it right now, and we need faster linebackers. Now, you can have cover sacks, so I wouldn't be opposed to a corner, but not in round 2. There's nobody I see in round 2 that I really think that you need to reach for at pick, 39? I say you just go ahead with a pass rusher. Or if you're willing to trade down, I wouldn't be opposed to getting a D tackle, right? There was a run on D tackles at the end of the first round, so you might be getting a second tier guy, but getting a second tier guy at 38 is completely different than getting a second tier guy at like 51, right? So that's what I'm looking forward to tonight. Round 3, I absolutely want them to go corner, right? Corner in round 3. Get some back end defensive help, especially because I don't see a wide receiver that I really like there. When we get closer to round 4, that's when I more so want a wide receiver. But we will check what the landscape is after round 3. Dropping a pod each day. Please like and subscribe. Let me know. I am under Gnome Productions, at Gnome Productions. Good noise on my ears. On YouTube, like and subscribe that, and this is the Birds of a Feather podcast.
Like El Chapo, looking like I hit the lotto. I want a hottie like mulatto. I'm on here and she on Moscato. I'm in them good till tomorrow. I'm a robber for the Neros. Your little laws, I'ma put you on payroll. You smell that aroma? Design the air, it's a party in here. Papa Corona, she moving the body, she working them heels. Gotta go get it mentality. Grocery bag full of celery. Only believe half what she telling me. Keep a 20 on me, case emergency. I wake up early every morning. Thank the Lord and get the bag. Hustle hard, get the cash. Stack first, then I'm showing my ass. Gotta go get it mentality. Grocery bag full of celery. Only believe half what she telling me. Keep a 20 on me, case emergency.
My babies, that's who I grind for. That's who I do it for. Like the Navy, that's who I'm toting that iron for. Keep one in the head like a thought, nigga. Yeah, I fuck with Ty, he a boss, nigga. Foot on their neck, I exhaust, nigga. Niggas cross me, so I cross, nigga. No stripper was lit last night. 500, what it cost, nigga. Shit was really legit last night. Had them hoes at the house, nigga. Less road, nigga. Late nights, early morning, my dough, nigga.
You smell that aroma? Design the air, it's a party in here. Pop a Corona, she moving her body, she working them heels. Gotta go get it mentality. Grocery bag full of celery. Only believe half what she telling me. Keep a 20